Practice does make perfect, and the more that you're prepared to work with your technique in order to master it, the more successful you'll be as a stylist. We're going to see Jeff doing a layer haircut today, and let's start by finding out what approach you're going to be using, and tell us a little bit about what led you to the decision for the kind of haircut you're going to be doing.
Okay, Gordon, what we're going to be doing is to bring this haircut in tighter around the edge and around into the back to make it fit in a bit closer, so we'll give him more of a better profile in the shape. And then we're going to gradually build up some shape and length into the top and put some layering in there so that it gives it more texture.
So it's not really a wedge, it's going to have less emphasis than that, be a softer blend, but at the same time coming in closer in the outline.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's really worthwhile pointing out just how strong this hairline is. You can see it really does grow up and in. The good news is that it does the same thing on both sides. Many times you'll find that one side of the hairline is going to be quite different than the other, and if that is the case, then my advice to you would be work with the hairline, because when you're dealing with something that's got as much growth pattern as that, to try and work against it is instant problems. It's not going to work for you, and even if you force it to work in the salon, when the customer leaves and they shampoo their hair the next day, it's going to spring back to the natural growth pattern and you're going to have problems. So in this instance, what you're going to do is actually use this as a signature of the cut. It's going to be a strong accent to it.
Absolutely.
Look, one other thing about when we say short layer haircut, how much flexibility do we have in the length of the layers? I mean, as compared to, say, you're taking this one in close. I take it you can do the same haircut, but in a longer version.
Oh, yes, you could absolutely have longer length in the sides and the back, and as well as into the top. It just depends on the texture, what kind of information you've gotten from your client through the consultation, and sort of what sort of maintenance he's looking for.
So as with any of our techniques, you have the ability of being able to expand it beyond the one haircut that you're seeing now. And what you just said there is you can actually have areas of it that would be longer and other areas that may be shorter. So you can not only get a different length, but you can actually create different shapes using the same technique.
Yeah, the system doesn't change, just the style or the finish.
Okay, great. What about the start point? Where's the initial start to the
Initially,
cut?
I will be starting in the front, right in front of the ear, and then working my way back with diagonal sections so that I can fit and taper it through with the scissors.
So following the natural head shape of...
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing the cut. Jeff starts by shampooing, and then he's ready to put in the first section. It's just above the temple and curving, following the natural head shape from the front hairline through to the back hairline. Combing the area he's not going to be working with well out of the way. The cleaner that you keep the work, the easier, and in turn, the faster it is, and you're guaranteed to get much better quality results. Now he takes the first part of the section or subsection, and what I mean by that is the first main section was the one from the temple through to the back, but then within that he takes subsections and combing the hair and just drawing it up, so he's putting in his first guide for the graduation or layer. Second subsection, looking, seeing the guide underneath, cutting the line. So that first section also becomes the guide into the back. There is no separation here. You don't have to start the back independently. Lifting the hair up, there's the guide cutting onto the line. You can see there's quite a lot of weight that's come off already. Next, subsection. And you can see that line underneath the guide. Checking it's there, lifting the hair for the elevation, and cutting onto the line. And that process continues until he's finished that first key or first major section. Small teeth for tension, large teeth for taking the sections and seeing how the hair's reacting. Clearly see there the underlying guide. You always want to work cutting onto the guide, because you know if you're cutting onto that line, you're going to have the correct finished end result. Small teeth, lifting the hair, bringing it down to the guide, cutting onto. So that guide is constantly shifting through the hair, moving towards the back hairline. Each section extends the original guide by the length of the section itself. So you see what I mean here. There's the section up at the seam of the finger, and there he's extending the line now. So he's shifting the guide, and that will become the guide for the next section. So if you think about it, from the very first cut, you're never alone with respect to having a moving guide. You're always going to be shown where to cut the next piece of hair, as long as you have a clean and clear technique. Once he finishes this first major section, he'll then go back and take section number 2, lifting up onto the guide, scooping that hair up. And why he's doing that is by bringing it from the outer hairline to the interior, it gives you more elevation. It makes it easier to lift the hair up. And that takes it in that little bit shorter. You can see that hairline's working very well already. So when you do see a hairline that's very strong, don't be afraid of it. Okay, now he's taken the second major section. So if you look at it, it's just exactly the same as the original one. The first one, it's just going deeper into the interior of the hairline. Now, going back and repeating the subsections, he's already got the guide. There's the guide, and now he's free to cut onto the line. Next part of the subsection. To the guide, and cut. So now he's using 2 different guides. He's using the underlying major section that was cut at first, and then he's using the second section, or the prior section that he just cut. So you'll see here, picks up some of what came from the first section and cuts it to the line of his last section. It's very simple. So you have this head-shaped section that continues into the interior of the hair, and then subsections within it. Makes it easy to follow the head shape that way. Onto the line, cut. You'll notice that Jeff's working, bringing the hair towards himself. Never working by taking the hair away from himself. That gives you more control over it. It also means that you're bringing the guide to you, so it's easier to see the cut line. You see what Jeff meant, or when we talked during the start of the video, that he is not creating a wedge line. And the reason for that is that the graduation on the interior is going shorter just by the method that he's using. Instead of drawing the hair down, that would create the weight line, he's lifting the hair up more, thereby creating more graduation on the interior of the cut. Large teeth for taking the sections, small teeth for applying the tension. Now he's cutting on top of the finger, but only because it's more comfortable. And as he works his way more into the interior, if that's the case, he'll hold the hair in that manner. It makes no difference to the actual graduation. What makes a difference to the graduation is the amount that you lift the hair and the position that you hold it in. It is not whether you cut on top or on the inside of the palm or finger. He's doing a kind of cross-check there, really. The sections were curved through the from the front hairline into the center and the back, and now he's doing a cross-check. Exactly the same system of technique as any other haircut we do. You start off by having one approach and direction, and then you come back and you check it in the opposite direction, thereby cross-checking, coming across the previous sections. And his results in those last few sections didn't need anything removed, and so he didn't. Incidentally, if there was a lot of hair that needed to come off, don't cut it. Go back, take the original method of sectioning, and find out where the problem came from. So now he's done the 2 sections through the side. He's ready to put in the fringe or bang area. And he's taking a fairly thin section at the front hairline. Going to bring that out. Remember, he's already got the guide. There's a tendency to take a little too much off there. So he's careful that he's drawing the hair towards the side, so that will make the hair longer in the center, and he's blending it into the second part of the second section, or the first cut line of his second major section. So that gave him the guide for the top of the haircut. And then same thing, he's now lifting the hair vertically up and cutting right onto the line. So takes the first section, draws it down, blends into the existing line of the second section, and then starts to, from here on, do the elevation or the top section of the hair. And again, he's got the guides, they're all there. Incidentally, this is do one half, then the other. So we'll be seeing the first half of the haircut in its entirety, and then we'll come back and see the second side completed. So he's sectioning the hair down through the center. Combing the area is not working without the way. And now he's going to lift up the top, and he's already got the line because he established that from the fringe or bang area, and he's now cutting the length of the top, the desired length. And that desired length is discovered during the consultation when you talk to the customer, because it could be longer than he's doing now. Could maintain a little more weight, and it could also be a little more, it could be a little shorter. Following through, blending. It's going to hit that section eventually that he already cut and just blend into it. It's taking a section down through the entire center, taking that weight out of it. Once that section is established, he has the guide or key to the rest of the interior graduation. There's the line just cutting onto it. So that started in the front hairline and worked its way through to the center nape of the neck. Now he's going to repeat sections. And you can see it's just checking to see the volume. Now he's got that key or guide, and he's ready to start to blend from the center out to the exterior or the perimeter of the cut. There's the existing guide cutting out, and there's the other guide. Blending from the previously cut side area up to the existing top graduation. Same thing. Now you'll notice that Jeff is still working, bringing the hair towards himself. Now what that does is that actually makes sure that you leave enough weight in it. So that's an easy way. Bring the hair to you. It's just the easiest way to work. There's the short point from the second section. There's his guide from the interior key. Blends the two together, and he gets the exact results that he's after. Takes the next part of the section. There's the short point. Blends. So he's now got a guide to follow, and as he has all along, and it makes the process very, very simple. Large teeth to see how the hair's reacting. Next section into the top. Remember, he's got the key again. There it is, very clear. Works his way out to the existing side that's been cut shorter. Next section, So now it's just a gradual process of repeating the steps that have already been taken through the top. So now we'll see it from a different vantage point. You can see the top guide, you can see the side blend, he cuts the two. So he's just connecting point to point at this moment. Same thing, bring it up, sweep it back, point to point. Now he's going to make sure that the connection of the interior graduation doesn't take the bang shorter. So he takes a section, instead of going from the top towards the hairline by the ear, he takes it from the top to the front hairline, and that allows him to make any adjustments to the angle that he needs to maintain the integrity of the length in the front. He's got one more section there to take it into the center in the front. Just going to make sure that it's done through the middle, because that becomes the guide for the next half. And then just run that back to the crown so that he's fully finished the one side before going to the next. Okay, so let's just review while Jeff's finishing off here. The first section was a natural hairline shape, about 1.5 inches in from the ear and curving from the front temple area through to behind the ear. The second section was about another 1.5 inches in depth, and then there were subsections taken within each of those sections and the shorter graduation put into it. After that, there was a blend from the front fringe or bang area. Jeff's now just checking at this point, but there was a blend put into the fringe or bang area. That was then connected as a key from the front hairline through to the center back. And then the key or the line in the middle of the top was blended from there into the existing shorter lengths on the side that had been cut. So now he's adding a little bit of texture into the hair, not fully closing the blade, laying it in and just sliding it through it. All that does is break up the hair a little bit, gives it a little bit of texture and added definition. So it's just a tiny amount coming off. You can see there's not a lot of hair coming off, and that's very important. And one other thing, going with the natural hair growth, not against it. If you go against it, you'll take way too much off. You can see how that just softens out that hairline a little bit. Now he's doing scissor over comb, just to blend it. Bringing down and checking the outline, using the comb to do that, because if you cut it on the skin, you get too hard a line. And then afterwards, you'll just use the trimmer to clean up that hairline area. Scissor over comb, same thing. You don't want to have too much pressure. It just gives you this gives a softer, more natural finish. Using the very, very point of the scissor just to make sure it's lying clean. As you can see, it's not a harsh line at all. The side in this instance is already fairly short to the top of the ear. I would make a recommendation to the client that he grows it down just a little bit, and that's something that you can talk about during the consultation. I think the more natural the side looks, the better it is. Using the scissor there to place the side and cut it in a little bit closer. Actually, by taking that a little bit tighter, as Jeff's doing now, it's going to make the outline of the side appear a little bit longer, which is better. Okay, and we finished this first half, and he's going to repeat the exact same processes on the other side. And we'll come back and see the finished cut. Jeff's finished the second half and he's now just checking, so going through the top sections just to make sure that both sides are blending perfectly. And you can see they are. And he's really into the very final stage of the haircut, because once you've repeated that system on both sides, obviously at that point you're virtually finished. It's just down to finished detail. And it's going to turn the head around so we can see the back. The back outline with the hairline looks really good. The TV screen right is just a little bit stronger on the hairline, so Jeff's looking to see if he could blend it in a touch more. Remember, you are working with the natural hairline, and it's very important that you let it go the way that you want. That you let the hairline go the way it's going to go naturally, because when the customer shampoos their hair the following day, it's going to go the way it is naturally. So don't force it in the salon. Make sure that when you show the client, you show them with the hairline in the position it's going to be when they do it themselves. And that's a really, really great blend. What I like about it is it's got full layering to it, but there is no wedge effect. It's just a short layer cut. And as Jeff said, very, very flexible, very versatile, because any of those initial start points, the original length can vary, and that's what gives you different looks for different textures, different types of hair, different hairlines. You can really develop different things for every customer. So by using a very simple, classic approach to the cutting, it's then up to you to merchandise each cut differently, that you can create a cut that's designed just for that customer. And now he's just putting some product in, applying the finished look. And left to dry naturally, looks really great. Jeff, haircut looks really great. Any tips, comments?
Well, a couple of things that I was doing, even though it may be a small part of the haircut, I was doing the texturizing or channeling through the hairstyle. You can do that with the trimmers as well, but it alters the texture, so it's not just a real perfect look. And for today's look, you want more of a disheveled or more of a texture finish to it, so it's not just perfectly laying in.
Yeah, because even though the haircut's short, it still has texture, and this isn't a head that has a lot of natural curls, so that movement that you've created in there was really as a result of the additional work with the scissors?
Yes, it gives it more movement to the hair.
You say that you could use the trimmer. Is your preference the scissors?
My preference is scissors because it's a tool that's already in my hand and I can move right into the cut and not waste any time.
And you didn't do it really in the interior of the cut, it was just through this outline area?
Right around the outline.
Okay, the hairline came out really great. I mean, it just becomes a focal point of the cut and something that's interesting rather than really noticeable and too strong in its appearance.
And I think it'll grow out as well.
Yeah, and that little bit of work that you did in here, where you did the scissor comb just through here, it seems to, of course it hasn't, but it gives the appearance of there being more of a side. And I think, if anything, I would suggest that we grow the side down maybe about 1/4 of an inch, just so you get a little bit more definition to it. That would give it a slightly different look, and I think a little more current as far as the side area. The rest of the haircut looks great, but that would just detail it one step more. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that as a stylist you're constantly looking for, and that's how can I add my signature to the work? And really, I think that most of the opportunities of the fine detail are here in the front hairline and in the back, in the hairline in the back. Not normally in the fringe, because you've got to take that more into account with the balance of the cut. Although there are exceptions to that. I mean, if you look and see what's current now in shorter haircuts, there's a lot of overlapping fringes, so that they've got more of a broken up effect. But generally speaking, I'll look at this area here and think I could add something to that that's my personalized detail, and it will accent the haircut. But really great job. What about the product?
I mixed and did a prescriptive process by mixing the sculpting glaze and a texture cream together to use the benefit of the glaze for the hold and the softness that you get from the texture cream.
Okay, great. So prescriptive. Do you do a lot of that?
Yes, yes.
And do you teach a lot of that in the salons?
Yeah, we do, because it gives a more personal approach to the client, to get them more attached to you.
That's great. Well, Jeff did a great haircut, but he made one other very important comment. He used a prescriptive, and that's what guarantees fully successful results. It's not just the haircut, it's every aspect of the service. It starts with the consultation, it moves into the haircut, and it finishes with the product and the close. And the more professional you are, the more differences you offer, the more chance you have of that client returning to you. Because after all, if their hair is going to look great for the next 6 weeks or so, there's a result of not just the haircut, but the products that they use. And if you went to the trouble to personalize that group of products for them, of course they're going to come back. You're guaranteed successful results. Your work's going to look good, and you're going to be more professional than most people in our industry. So remember, start at the beginning and finish at the very end, and be a professional all the way. Thanks, and good luck.